Nowadays, especially with social media and all of that, it's like, you are the last viral post that you had. Still till today, people are like, yo, you're that guy from FIFA 22. Bruv, that was what?
So when you grow up in the hood, it's like you're forced to be strong, you have to be aggressive, you have to be these things in order to survive.
I completely believe the opposite.
There's two major moments in my life that changed me.
One of the biggest changes in my life was when my mum passed. It just changed my worldview, I'm not gonna lie.
The day I got baptized, everything just felt like euphoric. That's the only way I could explain it.
There are things that people need to know about us in order to even understand why the story is the story. And we go, nah, but I don't want to share that.
Do you lot think that people still see you as the same person as you were when you first came into music?
I think probably some people do still see me as the same to an extent.
When did you start?
A couple decades ago.
Couple decades ago.
Yeah, I got you. It's a decade thing, not a specific year. What about the rest of you lot? Do you feel the same?
Even off of what Koke said, obviously Koke said people still do see you.
Some people, yeah.
Yeah, some people still see you. I think same with me, you know, I feel like some people still see me as that person. Essentially, when I think about it, the me when I first started doing music was, you're naive, I was naive. I didn't know much about the music industry and the things that it entails to actually become the person you need to be in regards to music or go to where you need to get to. But in regards to my message, my ethics and what I stand by, I still stand by that now.
So have you always believed the same things?
Let's say, if I put it into context, when I first started doing music, I was an ex-gang member, I was an ex-drug dealer, I was an ex-this, ex-that. And so when I started doing music, my whole focus, and my main focus was that I need to share my testimony so that I can help the young youths from my ends. And that was it. Like, that was the only thing that I was doing music for. I didn't do music because I wanted fame. I didn't go into it because I wanted to be successful as such. I didn't see it as that. It was more so, let me just release my testimony so that people can be impacted.
That's crazy, because when I started, I was still gang member, still doing all of that, do you get me? And it was just a way of man telling man's story and didn't really believe nothing would come of it. So I have changed in that perspective, but you get me?
So when you say people still see you...
Yeah, because I reckon like there's a group of people that probably listened to my old music and had a vision of me and now will probably still believe that I'm still that same person. Do you get me? Just based off living off the music or listening to the music.
Yeah, I hear that. Because the version of you that they met or they started listening to is also about the version of them that they were when they started listening to you.
That's so good.
And I think, I can relate to the feeling of, in some ways I've changed, in some ways I haven't. Like, I'm still... The inner kid in me, because I started when I was 14, right? And all now, like, I'm 30, I just turned 30 the other day, and the inner kid is still alive, and there'll be people that knew me from secondary school when I started in year 9 that will have a version of me, like DeeRiginal or D'Angelo, my actual name, that they know and they probably still think about because they haven't got that update
100%.
Of who you are now.
Yeah, that's really good.
Funny still, because I don't know if you lot know, I done that jungle. Do you not see that jungle thing that came out on Amazon? It was like a thing, but I had to play this role anyway. I had to play this role of this guy named was Stacks and whatever. So anyway, after the film's come out, I've gone to like a chicken shop and there's bare kids outside. They're looking at me, they're like, oh, you're the guy that killed my man and we don't like you, all right. I'm thinking, I was just playing a role, but in the kids' heads, that's who I was, do you get me? And that's who, and they addressed me like I was that guy, you know what I'm saying? So
It's interesting.
I think it's a weird one, you know. I feel like I've been digested in increments. So it's not like I come out and, you know, like you lot, and the guys, this is a light one, but you lot will come out with like 10 songs a year, like EP, mixtape. Do you get what I mean? So people are taking you in such high volume, whereas with R&B, people can be a bit more like granular about, you know, the process. So it can take 7 months to maybe make one song, you know? Because the output's been less over the years, people have taken me for the high moments. They haven't really taken in Mnelia as one body. They've taken in Mnelia for the moments, you know? Which I don't mind, you know?
But don't you think that's what, like, comes with what we do?
Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? Like, people kind of only see you at your biggest moment.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
I think it's
Like
it's
the
only
mass,
majority of the
the
time it's the moments we share in it.
Yeah.
Because we don't share them all. So we
Yeah.
share what we feel is deemed good enough for everyone else to see. You get what I'm saying?
Facts.
So.
There are things that people need to know about us in order to even just understand why the story is the story.
For sure.
And we go, nah, but I don't want to share that. But it's not about us.
Yeah.
But you lot are rappers though, so like...
It's deep, that one there.
Hey, no, because we're serving people.
Yeah, we are.
Like, because I've gone through that bare times. Like, I'll make songs like, yeah, these songs are the one. These are the ones that I want the public to just consume and whatnot.
100%.
And then there'll be another song or another project that I slept on. I didn't think much.
Yeah.
A throwaway.
It's a throwaway, yeah.
Can you imagine? That's the one that people like...
But the throwaway went
Shit.
off. Like, one of my biggest songs was a little throwaway freestyle that I sat on for like 2 years. Mind you, some people around me were telling me how great it was. I didn't really hear them, but it's only when I shared it to more people on the internet, it was like, oh, you lot actually rock with this. So this is no longer just about what I think is the best version of me to give to people. This is service that people want this. Like,
And that's interesting because I guess I didn't really look at it as like a service. I done music for fun, and then it was like a way of therapy. Of course. And that was like music for me. So I didn't look at it in that way, which is interesting though, because maybe I should start.
You guys are all right. It's the same thing. I feel like the experiences that we all go through is like the same. It's like my breakthrough single was on FIFA. You know what I'm saying? FIFA 22.
Congratulations.
And like, bro, like still till today, I'm on live. People are like, yo, you're that guy from FIFA 22. I'm like, bro, that was what?
It's FIFA
You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, where were you for the last 4 years? You know what I'm saying? So right now, I don't really take it to heart in that sense because it's like nowadays, especially with social media and all of that, it's like you are the last viral post that you had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or you're the last viral moment that you had. So like, but then there's like your actual audience who really know you because they've seen like your catalog and the whole journey and that. So like, all of you are all like in the same boat, right? Yeah. Was there a point where carrying a certain image of you became spiritually draining?
For sure. It's, 100%. What
do you mean?
Like, so when you grow up in the hood, it's like you're forced to live a certain lifestyle. You're forced to be a certain way. You have to be strong. You have to be aggressive. You have to be all of these things that are not very positive. Do you get me? You have to be these things in order to survive. So that weighing on you over the years for a certain amount of time can only become draining. Do you get what I'm saying? And tiring.
Do you think that translated anyway into the music industry?
The music industry is the streets to an extent. Part of it, especially if you're doing rap music, it is the streets. You get what I'm saying? The streets come with it, so it's just the same as. Obviously, it's legit, but it's the same circumstances. Do you get what I'm saying?
And that's even more draining. Carrying that
because now I've left all of this to do something legit, but I've still got all the problems that it comes with. Do you get what I'm saying? Except it's even worse now, because now everybody knows who I am and I don't know who everyone is. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, that's so real, you know?
That's the realest thing.
Everyone knows who we are, but there's so many people we meet.
Yeah,
we don't know.
I speak about this all the time because I'll be out with my friends and I'll be like, she knows me. And they'll be like, how do you know? I'm like, bro, there's an eye, there's a look, there's a mathematics that occurs.
But that's what I'm saying. That's all
social media. You underestimate how far.
But you see that moment there where I'm like, even with me when I'm out and there's fans and whatnot and people like, see, because I'm from the road and I have certain issues. You see, if you're like,
yes, bro.
Like if you're looking at me way too long, I need to ask you, right? Cool, are you all right? And then depending on what you say is gonna depend on my reaction. Do you know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, it's always love. But because of man's mindset and what man had to grow up in, it's always in the back of man's head. So,
Form of security, you know?
But it gets draining.
When you are in the industry, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like the hood. It feels like the same, it's the same sort of snarky hierarchy. It's not like you're in a team full of people, you can't trust them. Same way you're living on a particular street, you might be called your neighbours, they might see you and they start thinking, oh, da-da-da. Do you get what I mean? Like,
A lot of the same principles are there.
Because human nature is human nature everywhere, innit?
Yeah,
Regardless,
facts.
You know, whether it's on the street, so it's in the corporate building or whatever, like, humans will human, innit?
When I first gave my life to Christ and then everyone was saying, bro, you should use your music, rap. And I started rapping. I didn't realise the responsibility that it came with. Because I'm not just rapping to make ends meet, but I'm also rapping so that I can help the young people in my ends, and things are really happening. I mean, like, people are dying, people are getting shot, people are getting stabbed, things are occurring. And there's times where I've been on the ends and I'm making music, and man come up to me like, "Raw, superstar." Rare, I'm not a superstar. And I'm like, yeah, it would just be all the young G's. I just speak to them and I'm telling them about Christ, telling them about God, the goodness of God and what God can do. I used it as leverage to reach them. But as time had gone on, it became a burden. It became spiritually draining because I've got things that I'm still dealing with. I'm not the finished product myself. Do you get what I'm saying? So when ish really hits the fan and life hits, I needed the right network, the right people around me. And even that, maybe I did have the right network and I didn't know how to express those things because I had carried that as a bravado, so to speak. And so I didn't know how to humble myself and bring myself down and say, you lot, I need help. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was draining for me, definitely. I hear that. Yeah, I don't think I've ever shared that before, but hey.
How much of being guarded is self-protection?
You're only guarded for protection.
Yeah.
What else would you be guarded for?
But some of it isn't beneficial. That's what I'd say.
100%.
Yeah.
But regardless, guarding yourself is for protection. There's no other thing for it.
I think I'm on the
That's what I
opposite
think.
side of the spectrum, you know? I completely believe the opposite.
Go on, let me hear
Because if I'm being so honest, I feel like I wasn't actually being protected in the right ways until I let the guard down. Every single walk of my life, the points at which I've been the most vulnerable were the points where I was the least known. Do you get what I mean? So you've opened up my brain differently though, because I think where my opposite issue in regards to the context of the last and the question that you just asked now is that I wasn't servicing the right people. So I wasn't making music for the people that I was meant to be making the music for. And because of that, I was like just torn. Behind the scenes, I'm feeling happiness, but I'm missing joy. Like I'm feeling occasional sparks of peace, but it's not landing. Do you get what I mean? But then it comes to a point where I realize no one's gonna be able to fix the issue if I don't address the issue in an honest manner. So I have to open up the courts and be like, yo,
You've got to let down that guard.
arms open, I need help.
100%. But at the same time, in order for you to get the help, what did you have to do? Let down the guard.
Exactly.
You get me?
So
But,
guarding can't be...
No, but guarding yourself is protecting yourself. You had to let down the guard for then you to receive that.
But then it's
you get what I'm
it's,
saying?
you see, with that, I feel like it's letting down the guard, but it's not just letting down the guard to anybody.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
discernment.
saying? So then if you're letting your guard down to every single person, then that's stupid. That personally, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? So
Just to add to that, there's a scripture in the Bible and it says, in your weakness, his strength is made perfect.
Yeah.
So off of that scripture, I always say it's not in our strength that his strength is made perfect, but it's in our weakness. So in the moments where we are weak, and that doesn't just mean physically or mentally weak, it just means humility.
Yeah.
Being able to just bring that down and just say, you know what, in this moment, I have no power of my own. I can't do this on my own. And for me personally, off of everything that you guys have said, in those moments is when I felt the most protected. If that makes sense. When I realized it's not off of anybody, but it's just me and God. And I've just let my guard down and said, God, I can't do this on my own. Like, I have no power of my own. It's only you and you alone. And in those moments is where me personally, I felt the most protected, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. And listening to what you lot have said, it makes me think of like the psychology of us as human beings, as we're social creatures, right? We live in a time where we've got these phrases like introvert, extrovert, being socially isolated and whatnot. Even me, like one of my biggest songs at the moment is called Social Life Challenges. And it's about not always being in constant contact with family and friends. Sometimes weeks go past and certain people ain't called or whatever before it gets to a point where like, okay, you need contact with other people.
100%.
Like if I'm constantly kind of just on my own guarded isolation thing, like I'm gonna lose it. You know what I mean?
I feel like you lot are all like on a similar accord when it comes to the guarding thing. And meanwhile, I'm like, no, like, who's told you that? Like, who's told you, like, where do you think you learnt that when you're guarded, you're protecting yourself? Like, where was that learnt?
Probably as kids growing up, I guess.
I'd say this. Yeah,
I can't pinpoint like one situation directly that led me to be that way. I guess it's just in general, that's just what I believed. I had to not show everyone everything in order to be safe.
Do you think it was like something that you also saw displayed?
Probably, for sure. It had to be. There was no other way to learn it, innit?
Yeah, I hear it. Naturally, we see things growing up and it's going to stick with us.
100%.
Sometimes there's things that we don't even remember as well, you know?
No,
like
100%.
certain experiences that are in our subconscious from when we were young.
just there.
That are just there. Like, you know, you said you feel like you're contrasting the rest of us.
Yeah. But my experience has been completely different.
You don't think there's any part of you that feels guarded in any situation?
Now, you know what, guys? Honestly, I feel like my strength is how liberated I feel. Like, I can have a conversation with anybody about anything, and like my friends will be like, "Oh, are you sure you wanna?" Yeah, because there's not a conversation you can't bring to me that I can't have. Do you get what I mean? I'm confident enough to walk through it, but that comes with life experiences. Like,
It comes with a certain level of you being able to like understand yourself as well.
yeah, and I also think it's a liberty that I've been afforded in a way. It's like, so I've got a 5-year-old boy, and I'm listening to you lot speak, and it's actually clocking, like, I'm realising he does it sometimes. So I'll be like to him, "What's wrong?" And he'll be like, "No, it's fine, it's fine." Meanwhile, I can see my man welling up. Like, he's ready to, you know, but I think, I've never really taken in the fact that it might even be a biological thing. Like, it might actually be like, men might not be that way disposed.
100%.
I'm gonna ask you lot another personal question, sorry. But I'm curious, like, what life experiences probably changed you the most? If you're comfortable sharing, like, what was the life experience that you attribute to change?
One of the biggest changes in my life was when my mum passed.
Sorry to hear that.
She passed of cancer in 2018. Wow. And the context is, obviously, growing up, I was living with her the entire time. She passed, rest her soul. It just changed my worldview. It changed my perception of life, living, death, human beings, you know, time, what we do with it. It stressed me out. It really put a dark cloud over me in some ways. But then it kind of relieved me. Like, obviously not her passing, but when you have somebody close to you passing away like that, it's just a reminder of how like temporary everything is. Because of course people die every day, innit? But when it's someone close to home like that, it's do you get it? I'm looking back now, and it changes your whole lifestyle, you know? Everyone's circumstance is different, but for me, it meant, okay, so now I'm living by myself. I've got to become more independent, you know? At that time, for context, like, I hadn't worked a day job for more than like a few months. And then suddenly, okay, it's you now. You're the head of your life now. Like, there's nobody kind of behind you. Do you know what I mean? When you go home, you have to cook, you have to clean, you have to make sure that everything's paid for, you know? Things that I had the privilege of not thinking about as much because I was still living at mum's and, do you know what I mean? So that was a significant change, arguably the biggest change of my life so far, I'd say.
Thank you for sharing that, bro.
Honestly,
love
so
what?
sorry to hear that.
Life, do you know what it is? Life, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the statement, isn't it? That's like, it's just life, man. You just have to deal with it, bro. But yeah,
Off of what you were saying, and thank you for sharing that as well, bro.
Okay,
On the question itself, I think myself personally, I think there's two major moments in my life that changed me, that shifted things. And there's many other things around it, but I'd say when from the gap between the age of 13 and 18, I think during that time, I only used to believe that I had two emotions, happy or angry. I just thought, like, depression, you can't come and tell me I'm sad or upset. I don't know what that is. I'm either just angry or I'm happy. And I didn't see that there's a spectrum of emotions, do you get what I'm saying? So for very long, I conditioned myself to be a particular way. Obviously, as we know, you're living that lifestyle, you're gonna go through violent circumstances, you're gonna go through losses, you're gonna lose people, things are gonna happen, people are gonna go to jail, and things happen. And through all of those circumstances, by the time I surrendered my life to Christ, in that moment, it flipped again. Because all of this bravado that I built up and the characteristics that I thought and who I thought I was and how I thought I had made myself to be, it wasn't actually real. And in the moment when I gave my life to Christ, it just stripped. So in those 2 moments are the moments that changed me. When I first lived that lifestyle and I changed from being the innocent child that I was to being the person in that gap, and then giving my life to Christ as well. They're the 2 moments I can say changed me. So go on.
Yeah, bro, it's a difficult one for me still, because there's been so many different scenarios growing up.
Of course.
But to pick one, maybe the day my brother got shot in front of me, I was there. I think that kind of changed me. I didn't get hit, but I was closer to the car than he was.
Yeah.
So, and I can't tell you how I got behind the car, but something got me behind the car.
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing every shot, and I didn't know how I got there. Then I was about to run away, then my brother came over the fence and fell on the floor. He's like, oh, they got me. And then I just think from that day, I was just different.
Of course.
Yeah, I never left it. I went everywhere with it. It was just...
How old was you at the time?
18.
Got you, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
But obviously I was involved in the streets, but like, to that, when that happened, that was like, yeah. Yeah.
Close to home.
Yeah, it's different now.
Your brother.
Yeah, now I'm not left in it. We're playing with it every day.
Yeah.
And I lived like that until I found music. Do you get me?
What age did you find music?
Like I started rapping at like 21, but I was still in the streets.
Yeah.
But it's like only till things started to get serious when that Jay-Z and the whole deal thing came around. It's like, all right, cool. This makes more sense than the road now, do you get me? And then that's when man put down the road, or tried to at least, do you get me?
Is your brother still around?
Yeah, my brother's still here. He's
God is good.
free though, he's in jail right now.
God is still good.
God is good, bro.
Yeah. It's a crazy story though, because I had to drive him to the hospital, and obviously the feds thought it was a shootout, so they wanted to take my clothes. They took my car, they wanted to take my clothes, so I ended up having to cut and leave the hospital. And I walked home, all the way home, and I got there and it was like 5 a.m. And I remember lying on the sofa, and I could just hear this like flickering in the front room, but I don't know what it is. So I looked around, and it's my grand's picture hanging off the wall, and it's flying in the air, hanging off the wall, my grand's picture. But like, so I'm paranoid now. I'm thinking, yo, what's going on in here? So I'm like trying to look to see if a window's open or if the heater's blowing some air out that's making the thing flicker, and there was nothing. So in my head, it was like, that was my gran telling me that she was with man that day, do you get me? Yeah, that was that situation. Well, that changed me.
Yeah, and you survived it, bro.
Yeah.
You survived it.
Yeah. Nah, come on.
Live to tell the story. Pick up yourself.
Thank you.
Bro, I feel like this is slightly getting into a therapy session.
Let's have it.
A lot of this, like,
Safe space.
except from the cameras, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of this is like, I don't really even talk about too much. I'm starting to understand how to talk about it now, like in my music and all of that.
Of course.
Say like for me, I was born in Nigeria, right? So when I was born in this place in Lagos called Mushi, and that part was a very active like zone. You know what I'm saying? There's this thing called like a masquerade. Like extremist parties will come down the street. They'll start playing like certain like instruments, and then you know that like it's about to be mad. So I'm looking out the window, and at the back of the motorbike is a passenger, and his head is off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing that at 5, 6. Crazy. But like, I ain't even know what I'm seeing. Yeah. All I know is my mum is going crazy. She's like, yo, we need to get out of this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're talking about like protection, all of this, you know what I'm saying? That's like, that's been like from when I was a kid. 100%. And you come here, and then I moved to Southampton, and obviously you're in like a peak area, you're in a bad area. Like, thank God for my parents, like there. I grew up in a church, but then it's like, I would go to school, and people that I knew were active like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, whilst you're like you go home, it'll be one thing. When you're outside of home, it's another thing. And my parents moved us, didn't want us to go to school in the area that we were, so they made us go to Winchester. And there was one of my boys in school, because there was only 2 black guys in the school I went to. His name was Kelvin. And we were close because we were the only 2 black guys. I was in uni now, and I get a call that, yo, Kelvin got killed in a shootout, in a drive-by. I'm like, bruv, see what I'm saying? It's like, it's like all of these things you go through in life, and even at that point in uni, I lost my faith. Like, because I was just like, yo, what's the point? And then I got into a relationship, and I think, like, she finding faith was what got me back into faith. The amount that my life has changed because of understanding the fact that, like, say even 18, there's a line in 18 that I was like my backing is bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
you're
fair.
in certain situations, you're like, bro, I do not know how that happened,
escape that,
but it's like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's another moment that's...
I've got goosebumps. Oh, it's actually deeper. What does peace look like for you now? With all of that said, what does it look like for you now?
Crazy one.
I feel like I'm still trying to find peace. You know what I'm saying? I think because of growing up the way I did, my mind is so active. It's like you said, now you've left that life, it still goes with you. You know what I'm saying? So like even in certain situations, I'm always like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, but then for me, I'm still trying to figure out like what peace is and how that looks for, like what that looks like for me.
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand that because I'm kind of similar. I guess I have a vision or maybe what I think it should be, but I'm not sure. I'm still suffering with like traumas and PTSDs, all of these things, do you get me? So I'm still trying to find it myself.
To me, it just translates to acceptance. Accepting reality for what it actually is, not what you just like it to be,
Just what it is.
where it actually is. And
That's powerful.
I like that.
And I think in acceptance, I think chaos is part of it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, peace, chaos, it's all part of it. I'm just adapting to the ever-changing situation that.
You know what? Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. I think with that, it's more like nowadays the peace only comes in my knowledge that God has it. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of it, because sometimes you're like, yo, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of it, it's like, what's the point? It's like, every single day you look on social media and it's like, yo, it's another bad thing. Like, Trump is gonna do this and do that. It's like, bruv, all right, cool. If then my brain is like, all right, cool. How am I gonna protect myself in this, right? But then at the end of the day, you're so small in the cog of everything that it's like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't do nothing. So then at the end, I say to God, you know what I'm saying? You have this one, right?
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right, bro, real talk, man. We all joined this roller coaster and we're here for the ride, innit? Like, that's how I see it. Like,
So would you say, would all of us say that true peace is having comfortability in the middle of chaos?
I don't know. I am comfy in chaos, and I think that's the problem. Man's used to chaos. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's what the problem is. Man's not used to it being calm and. Do you know what I'm saying?
You're waiting for it, innit?
Yeah, it's like, and that's what my whole life, man's been comfy in chaos, and it's just
Being still, Do you get what I'm saying? So, and I can vouch and say, obviously, you know, like, it's chaotic. You got your family, you got this, you got work, you got money to make, you got music, you got this, you got man calling your phone saying, oh, I need this, and that is chaos. And I understand that, but just having that peace in the middle of all of that is perfect. It's
priceless.
Yeah, it's priceless. Yeah. We're talking about peace, obviously, and obviously, bro, you've been baptized, you got baptized, congratulations.
Thank you, man.
And
Congratulations.
it was for me, like, it was a major moment, and I'd share it on this table and give you your flowers as well.
Thank you, bro.
From when I was young, I listened to music, do you get it? And we listened to Koke. So seeing you transition, it's not only did it encourage me, I know everyone looking, it encouraged them as well. Now within that, you being baptized, did you feel a moment of peace? Did that give you peace with that?
100,000,000%. I definitely, like the day I got baptized, the day we went to the church and I put up my hand, because I don't know if I said it, but when I got baptized, we went there because just by accident, not by accident, but we wasn't supposed to be there that day, and it would just so happen it was the day they were baptizing everyone, and we've been trying to get baptized for ages and it couldn't happen.
Miracle, bro.
So just to go through that process, me and my missus, there was no family, nothing. Me and her just went together to go church, found out we could get baptized that day and ended up doing it that day. And like from the moment we got baptized, everything just felt like euphoric. That's the only way I could explain it. It was just, it was peaceful, it was nice, it was lovely. Everyone was sending in their praises and congratulations. Obviously, I still got so much problems and so much issues and still so much trauma to deal with. But I do feel calmer. I feel better.
Content.
Yeah. You get
So
me?
good. I've been wanting to get baptized for years now. Get dunked up in that water and give my life fully to Christ, because I give it to him every single day. Do you get what I mean? Like, but yeah, that's a beautiful testimony.
It's like if you could chat to your younger self, what would you say to them? For 5 minutes. If you had 5 minutes with your younger self, what would you say?
What are you telling
I'd be
him?
like, damn, man. I love you, bro.
That's it.
I love you, bro. I don't even know if I could say more than that. I'll just hug him and just say, I love you, bro. There's probably so much more I want to say or could say, but I just don't even know. So,
Especially in 5 minutes.
yeah, 5 minutes. I'd really have a lot to say because there's a lot that I'd love to talk him through.
Yeah.
But most of all, I love you, bro.
Yeah,
Do you get me?
That's serious.
Yeah, my childhood was rough, man.
Like, serious, but I can see why you say, like, I love you, because that's just sharp. It's just like, yo.
That's beautiful.
I think if I was to go back, I would tell the younger me that that God has a purpose for your life. And where you are now isn't where you're going to end up.
Do you think that would hold the same weight for him at that age?
Bro, that's the real part.
I don't think my younger self would hear that.
I
think he would hear it, but I don't think he would understand it or be able to to understand how I meant it.
Yeah. That's a heavy question. I think if I look back 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, no. I think the me as a teenager, yes. I think the 15, 16, 17-year-old me, where I was in my mind, because I was confused, I was lost, I was running around, doing everything that I was doing. And in all the experiences, I still knew that God was real. If someone had come to me in that moment and said to me, God has a purpose for your life, just trust him, it would have slapped me. It would have slapped my face, because I still knew God exists. I still knew that when I was going through that, or when I was shot at, when I was stabbed at, I escaped those situations only because God was with me. So if I could, going back to the question, go back in time and have that conversation with the 15, 16, 17-year-old me, I would say, God has a purpose for your life.
That's so good.
Yeah. What about yourself, my bro?
You see what, yeah? Because of everything I went through, I went through my childhood thinking I was Superman or trying to be Superman. See what I'm saying? So, like, bruv, it was only maybe like when I turned 20, 22, 23, 30, 22, 20, after Kelvin, you know what I'm saying? That was like, right, like, you're actually gonna die one day, you know what I'm saying? As much as you can build yourself to be this Superman, super person, like, really and truly, like, you see what I'm saying? So, I don't, like, if I'm talking about what I would say to my child, I don't know whether he would listen, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing. But then I think what you're saying, where it's like, yo, like I love you, because especially in like African households, like especially when it comes to family, like you don't really hear that as much. That's okay to be you. You know what I'm saying? You see, the way that your parents show you love is not the way that God shows you love. You see what I'm saying?
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is the thing that I needed to understand, because I feel like that might have been the root of a lot of the problems I went through. But then, bro, learn how to communicate your feelings and like read. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, read.
Like learn how to read, bro. Like, cause that is something that like I wish I started doing earlier. You know what I'm saying?
That's serious.
She would need to hear me tell her that I know that life has started with a couple of sharp turns. But it does get safe, because someone's coming to save you. And he's not gonna come in human form. Leave the boys alone. What you're experiencing is not a lie. You are experiencing it. Where you can't find safety in your surroundings right now, something is coming to provide that. It's just not with you right now. But just hold on to what you have. Keep on smiling. Keep on making people feel good. Keep on finding joy in giving joy, love hard, love truthfully, and you'll walk it out. It will come.
That was dope.
It will come. I'd also tell her that it's not gonna look like what she thinks it's gonna look like, but it's gonna look better. Because 5-year-old me, she was never sniffing a mobo. So.
What about you, brother?
Do you know, think about my younger self, when I was 5, 10, 15, I think something that I think would be, I'd need to remind myself, any of the majors there, is that you belong.
Wow.
That's it, you belong. Yeah. Because there's always going to be things that happen in life, in the world, that are going to make you feel like
You don't.
You don't.
do you know what I mean? Like, you get it, like certain social situations, spiritual situations, whatever it is, like, but that's the main thing, you know, going through life. I think back to my childhood, my teenage years, and I was like big up my family, big up my friends, that made me feel accepted. But there were a lot of reasons why I would question, like, my place here on this earth, you know what I mean? That really.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Yeah, no, belonging, man. It's that, like feeling like, yeah, you're here and there's a place for you here, sort of thing, as opposed to you don't fit or whatever it is, you know.
Love that, bro. No,
Is that something that still matters to you guys?
What?
Belonging.
Yeah, everyone. Man.
Yeah, it has to.
I just wanted to see if you guys would be honest.
Yeah,
Maybe not in the same way
Yeah,
it used
definitely,
to
I
be,
feel
but
that.
it's still, you still want to belong. You still want to be a part of a community, a part of people.
Part of a family, a part of everything.
Yeah.
Part.
100%.
Yeah.
Part of the world.
Part of it, yeah. And you know what, I hear it, like it might change in terms of like what you want to feel like you belong to,
Yeah.
or
exactly.
what you want to be amongst.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, feeling like, do you know what, like,
Exactly.
I make sense.
Yeah.
You know them?
Yeah, even if it don't make sense to me.
It's actually, yeah.